Kerry, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Nice to see you.
Excellent. Kerry, look at the camera and tell people who you are.
I'm Carrie Hamill. By day, I am a manager at BART. I also am I've been a member of the Oakland School Board for the last 8 years, and I'm a candidate for Oakland City Council.
We've known each other, I think, on and off since 1994.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
94,
15 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Almost 15 years, yes.
And you're only 27, so you look fantastic.
I know, yes. I work very hard at keeping myself 27.
You look great.
Yeah.
Question. Why do you want to run for at-large council?
Well, it's a great challenge, and I'm very interested in challenges at this stage in my life. I have been an elected official for 8 years. I think I'm good at it. I come off recently a very interesting experience at the school board, which taught me a lot about how you work with very stuck, intractable bureaucracies, whether it's state control or local control. I've had to keep the district moving forward. And we've really had some successes under very difficult times, like in the area of literacy.
Right.
7 of the 8 years I've been on the school board, we've increased literacy. That's been my primary area. So under tough circumstances, I see organizations that can move themselves forward, but it takes a certain kind of leadership, and I think I'm capable of that kind of leadership.
What is your platform?
So 3 areas that I'm focused on: crime, the enforcement side of crime, youth development, which is the prevention side of crime, and Walkable Cities Initiative, which is how Oakland builds itself for the future in light of global warming.
I know about that.
Walkable Cities is a direction that I hope Oakland goes in the future. We spend a lot of time at the city council, Zenny, fighting about existing neighborhoods and their concerns about maintaining their local identity, and whether a building should be 4 stories or 6 stories or this story or that story. And I am interested in building new neighborhoods in places of Oakland where there's not anything going on, rather than fighting and trying to put denser housing in existing neighborhoods than a lot of people want. I'd rather see us look at that area around BART stations, for example, where we've got billions of dollars of infrastructure. On the other side of the Lake Merritt BART station that goes all the way down to the Peralta Community College District headquarters, it's like this long sea of parking lots. And if you could build a multi-story place to put cars, you would have nothing but valuable land that could be created into a fantastic neighborhood. It should be dense, it should be mixed use, it should be a village for the future, and you're kind of connecting your waterfront to your downtown area. It's a very pivotal spot.
Question. Why is it that we've had so many years of these transit village concepts, and yet I think the only one in Oakland that's truly built is the Fruitvale?
The Fruitvale's built.
Right.
And MacArthur BART project, which I started 10 years ago, is going to break ground in a couple of months. And I'm telling you, that is, I mean, I've got to give, yes, the Walter Mileses, the Jane Bruners of the world.
How come you're not running for mayor?
Everybody
else is.
Who kept pushing that forward.
I had to put that in.
Well, it's not the season, Zach. No, I have no interest in that. But anyway, the point is that we're going to have something really interesting there, and I love that project because they were so creative about a range of money. They have a partnership with the Housing Authority, with market rate housing, with affordable housing. They have all different ranges, you know, from people who have a lot of money to people who have almost no money. There's family housing built into that, and then there's all kinds of retail and some public uses that they've married all together to make sure we get a project. Kind of like the old Merritt College project that we did way back when. Marrying it to Children's Hospital, which was its neighbor. We went out and sought them out and brought them in as a partner, and they wanted to make a big investment. They needed more space. We put the senior center there, so it was a multi-generational project. And I left the city before the housing piece on the back got done, and it never got done. But it still needs to get done. I don't know, it just stopped. You know, the momentum stopped after the main building got rehabbed. And you know, the key thing about the fact that there's still space back there is that Children's Hospital is always looking for places to move and expand.
Right, absolutely.
So they actually have some options back there, which I think they're holding on to now, and that's a good thing. You know, maybe it can help solve that neighborhood problem they're in the middle of now. Trying to expand at that adjacent neighborhood where the neighborhood doesn't want them. They've got some space back behind their research center.
Give me an idea, I think it's similar to what I asked Rebecca, of what the at-large council member does versus the district council members for our viewers.
Well, it's a very different job. You have to look at broad citywide policies, which is the great challenge and actually the great fun. You have to be able to work with your colleagues. I have the endorsement of 6 of the 8 council members.
Congratulations.
And you have to be able to work with them, sort of enhance the effort they're doing, but not step on their toes. So you have to kind of dance gingerly around a lot of different areas. I think
Like Henry Chang did.
Henry was a peacemaker.
Yeah.
You know, he had a first-class temperament, is what the council members
Can I borrow
always
that
said.
term? I love that. I have to say that on
Go
camera.
ahead.
That's great.
No,
That's the
he
term
was.
of the week.
He didn't step on people.
Right.
Some would say he wasn't as aggressive about things as he could have been, but the council members, I think, appreciated the fact that he was always approachable and was always a good listener. I think those qualities are important in that realm. But beyond that, there is so much integration of services that needs to be done, Zenny. You know, government is all over the place.
Right.
You know, we have, 30 different transit entities in the Bay, transportation authorities in the 9-county region. Government is stepping all over itself,
And I
right?
have to ask you this question because of your role. Whatever happened to the integration program for that? I don't mean to get off subject too much, but
You mean for transportation?
yeah, there was the one pass idea, I believe, where
And it's been worked on for a decade.
Right.
And they still haven't gotten it done. And you know what's holding it up?
I was gonna ask.
Everybody has their own fare, recovery rates, everybody charges different.
Now, what's a fair recovery rate for those like me who haven't heard the term before? What is that?
Well, everybody charges different fees. In other words, there's no universal fee among all the different transit agencies that says you go this far, you pay this. So on BART to go a mile, you pay one fee. On AC Transit, you pay another fee. On SamTrans, you pay another fee, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So if it was all universal in terms of cost, you could just, divvy up all the profits, and depending on the amount of miles people go, you could give them a rate of return. We can't do that here because everybody's fare is different. So they have to try to calculate into this little machine that takes the fare, who they're taking from what system and what recovery rate they're supposed to get on the miles traveled, and it's become so complicated. And it's funny because, the customers, it's the thing in the transportation world that people ask for the most.
Right.
And yet we kind of can't get over ourselves and get out of the way and make it work. So there's, a lot of good minds continue to work on it, and hopefully it'll happen at some point. But the point that I'm making about government is coordination and alignment. And how that relates to the job I want to do on the city council. I'll give you an example with youth services. So we have school district, we have the city, and we have the county. All provide a significant degree at a significant cost of youth services. They do duplication, and we need to marry a lot of their functions together to better serve kids. I'd like to be using our schools as a staging area for mental health services more than we do now, more than we do for after-school programs, more than we do for recreation programs, early childhood education.
And you have kids.
And I have 2 teenagers, right? When I had both of my babies while I was working for LQ. They're all grown up now. And yeah, it's made me aware of it, and it's.
I should explain for the viewers that both of us worked for Mayor Harris.
Back in the day in the 90s.
Right, that's right. I was economic advisor, and you were actually specialized in schools.
I did schools, I did public safety, I did special projects like the Old Merritt College project, a lot of different things.
Congratulations, by the way.
But thank you.
Finally, it was like, I remember that. It's like, ah.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. So the point is that we can get a whole lot more for the customer by aligning services. And I really think as the at-large council member, without the day-to-day constituent issues and district issues to deal with, that's what I want to focus on.
I'm going to ask you some questions, sort of the hot button issues. What's your view, first of all, on Oak tonight?
I like that project. I think it's good for Oakland. It's taken too long, and I'm sorry that it's been stalled.
Crime problem.
I have a pretty comprehensive crime strategy. The most dangerous element in Oakland is that we have become accustomed to opening the paper and reading about the 2 or 3 homicides over the weekend that happened during the summertime. And this idea somehow, Zenny, that that's the way it has to be, that we just can't do any better than that is really dangerous and not true.
Downtown development.
Well, there seems to be some synergy there. I kind of see the pressure from the waterfront development kind of moving itself out towards the downtown, and the downtown getting a little bit of traction. Now, I think what Jerry Brown did was a good thing with 10K, and even though a lot of those buildings are now empty, it's going to do something which I think is critical, and that is bring some of the prices down. The prices here were crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And only you mentioned education. Okay,
so let me tell you about the next frontier in education. We've done a good job with literacy in our elementary schools over the last 8 years.
Do you remember the whole phonics thing?
Yeah, but I wasn't part of that.
I know you weren't part of it.
Before my time.
Right. That was Tony Cook.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. That kind of defined Oakland educationally to the world, and it's a big, terrible distraction. Anyway, the next frontier is the dropout rate. 4 of 10 of our students drop out before they make it to 12th grade. We don't have scientific data that actually tells us where everybody goes, but that rate is outrageous. And we've done a good job of stabilizing our elementary schools, but at the secondary level, we've got to get serious about art and music and drama and the things that keep kids in their seat. We're cramming, 2-3 hours a day of algebra into them and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And we need to kind of throw out the rule book at our secondary level and start talking to our customers and dealing with our customers. We're not going to deal with that dropout rate unless everybody comes to the table. The city in a big way, the county in a big way, the state has to take its blinders off. Well, I'm talking about some serious coordination and measuring dropouts, because...
Can we legislate that coordination? Can we force that to happen?
Yes. Sure we could. And you're right. I mean, we could do it legislatively. 70% of the people in state prison are dropouts. They read on an average at a 3rd and 4th grade level. I mean, that tells you the story. And if we don't figure out ways to make our schools more interesting, less about drill and kill, and more about letting kids express themselves and be creative, they can be learning math at the same time. But we just don't have to be so heavy-handed about it. Some of the state standards have no applicability in life, and our students don't want to just sit there and listen to a bunch of heavy information packed into their head all day long that has nothing to do with their sense of reality.
Carrie, you've been around government for a long time, and you and I have been, and I have to take the luxury of asking you how you've seen Oakland government change. We had council manager form of government, now we have this hybrid strong mayor system. I mean, is it working? How have you seen things change? I don't want to feed my opinion to you. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm curious.
In the 20 years I've been active in Oakland, I have seen the quality of the commitment by local elected officials really improve. I see with district elections that elected officials are focused on their constituents. They're very interested in delivering to their constituents. What's missing is that now there's so much balkanization in terms of my district, my issue, my reelection, that we don't look at the overarching basic services enough. And that's kind of the area we have to get back to at the city.
How do we, and I'm just going to throw an idea on. My observation is that in the internet, now the video age, and the hypermedia age, it seems like each person is interested more in getting themselves heard and seen.
Right.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Okay?
Yes.
I mean, there has to be a balance.
Yes.
But has it been at the cost of paying attention to the operation of government?
Yes. Yes.
What do we do? How do we fix that? I mean, how does a person like me in the media help fix that? I mean, I'm pointing to it, but I'm also part of the problem. You know?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, you need to be, rather than focusing on an elected official's ideas, we need to make media more customer friendly, which means we need to be out in Maxwell Park, talking to the woman out there who's pointing at a pothole. And before we put an initiative on the ballot where we're asking people for more police, Zinni, we ought to be doing an interactive kind of town hall meeting where people can go over to their local library,
I love that idea.
dial in,
and
tell us what they think. Because I'll tell you,
that's a great idea.
We can't move forward on these ideas unless we've talked to a heck of a lot more people than we're talking to now. And we should be able to use this medium to bring people to City Hall, not physically, but with their ideas. I'd like to do a lot of interactive town hall kinds of things, particularly when we're going to people and asking them for their money. Hear what they have to say. People feel like they are not on the big issues getting heard. And I think in the last year or so, more people have been marching down to City Hall screaming about crime. We've gotten the council's attention. We've gotten the mayor's attention. He doesn't say anymore, oh, I don't think police officers stop crime. He started off saying that.
He did.
And people went nuts, So he's not saying that. He's been educated. People have run down there, people from every neighborhood here. But we've got to do a better job, I think, of asking them first. And I'll tell you a really hot button issue that I wasn't aware of until I started running is potholes.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Potholes.
Who'd
have thought? I mean, you go up to the door of a lot of neighborhoods and you start talking about basic services with people and you bring up potholes and their head blows off. I mean, they get mad. Oh my God, go out there and look at this. Nobody knows what schedule the city's on. Nobody, potholes are not sexy.
They used to have a schedule.
Yes, there used to be one.
Ironically enough, under Robert Bob, I think, wasn't there?
That's right. And, it's, Ignacio tells me that it's very difficult to...
Ignacio de la Fuente is the president of the council.
De la Fuente tells me that the process that we use to advertise our contracts to fill potholes is very convoluted and multi-layered, and it needs to be streamlined. I think that's a very important issue to get educated about, because people want, I know streets and roads are underfunded, but people want many more miles.
We have a huge infrastructure problem too,
Yes.
Nationwide and statewide and citywide.
I know.
Question, I got to ask you. What do you think of the Deborah Edgley issue? Because we touched on Robert Bob, who's in town now. But
let me tell you what I think. The cronyism that was going on there has been in the paper for years. Her daughter took the exam 4 times to be on the fire department, and I think that's bad. So I'm a little frustrated that it was ignored, and it's inexcusable. I mean, now we want to pass anti-cronyism legislation, but I thought we already had anti-cronyism legislation. We need a different...
It's in the charter.
Yes, it's in the charter.
It's been there. I told Russo that.
So,
it's in there.
So the issue isn't, can we write something down on paper and then feel like we've solved the problem? Obviously, we need to highlight as a council and say, okay, this is outrageous. But I think the council needs to provide, you were asking me what I think about government and how it's evolved. We have gotten away from the kind of basic budget as the guiding policy document, budget that really sets goals every year for our citizens, a city council that spends a lot of tedium sitting there looking at those goals and objectives, reviewing them quarterly with department heads. We like to launch projects, but the real bread and butter kind of oversight issue that I think our city council needs to be doing hasn't been done very effectively. The budget wouldn't have gotten that crazy out of whack had that been done. And once those kind of smelly issues come up about cronyism, there needs to be a place where they get addressed right away. You know, we have an auditor, we have a separate city attorney. You know, the council president, members of the city council need to say, hey, we need to know, yes or no, what's going on, and they need to do it immediately, you know, not wait till it bubbles over.
How does a person get in touch with you to help you in your campaign?
So my website is www.carriehammill.com, and my phone number for my campaign is 510-332-4904. My headquarters is over at 23rd and Broadway. We have a headquarters opening on Friday night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yes, it's already Thursday. And you know,
or today, because this might be up by Friday. So if you see this, folks, today,
so today,
rush on over there.
Friday, the 19th, is that what? The 20th.
Yeah.
Starts at 5:30. There'll be food. We actually were renting this storefront alongside Auto Row. We're next to the Audi dealership, and we have about 800 square feet. But the rooftop is what's really nice, and our party is going to be up on the rooftop.
Ooh, nice.
Which overlooks the neighborhood that I think is the hottest neighborhood in Oakland right now, which is that Grand Broadway area with all those fabulous galleries, and where so many interesting artists and business people have taken that neighborhood to a whole nother level. There's a lot of synergy going on over there. What they do, Art Murmur, every Friday night, which is
something else.
A fantastically unique Oakland thing. So we're down there.
I want to thank you for your time, because I'm going to talk for another 3 hours.
Yeah, we could, and when you shut this off, we probably will.
Yeah, that's definitely. Thanks a lot.
Nice to see you.
Oh, by the way, folks, we're at the Lakeshore Cafe.
Right.
Where I've got this nice little breakfast you can't quite see, but it's over on next to Arizmendi on Lakeshore. I come here all the time. I highly recommend the breakfast around there.
Fantastic espresso.
Yes, cool. All right, thanks.